While the US defends the free world, during the Cold War it stood up to the Soviet communist menace.
The peril posed by the Soviet bogeyman was greatly exaggerated. Following the Second World War, the economic interests of the US and its allies were threatened by the rise of post-colonial nations seeking their own economic path. Developing countries with a socialist economy, or just asserting their independence, were labeled another falling domino of Soviet-orchestrated communism. So while the Soviet Union undoubtedly had its own agenda, the Russian military threat was played up to allow aggression against independent developing countries and justify increasing US military spending.
So is that all US wars are for?
Well, America's war hysteria then and now provides an excuse for attacks on organized labor, minority groups, and of course dissidents, as with the US Patriot Act. It's also useful to have a scapegoat, a safe, weaker country to beat up to keep everyone else obedient, and remind the world that the US is the remaining superpower. And let's not forget that opposing a foreign threat can raise sagging presidential popularity or distract from scandals or economic downturns. Besides, seizing resources from other countries is necessary to maintain the level of consumption many in the Western world take for granted. And the more wars that are fought, the more replacement weapons have to be bought, further enriching the weapons manufacturers.
Look, there are real dangers out there that the US needs to fight. In the real world, we need to choose the lesser of two evils.
Okay, so although there are real threats that exist, the American empire and its allies cynically take advantage of dangers, genuine or fabricated, and use them for their own gains. Military contractors peddle their wares, while our government and corporate media peddle their wars.
Well, I support our troops. Are you accusing everyone working for the military or people pushing for war of being involved in a deliberate fraud, even if they're risking their lives, their own lives to fight for wars against the bad guys?
I'm not questioning their sincerity in combating evil or defending the nation. I'm just pointing out that they're being misled by our leaders and manipulated like the rest of the public. And many of the same politicians who proclaim their patriotic support for the troops will happily cut benefits and rehabilitation programs for veterans once they've served their purpose and been discarded. If you really want to support the troops, why don't you dig into the reality behind the warmongering and maybe oppose fraudulent wars? Do you think even the most naive, platitude-spouting American flag waver can possibly believe that the US would be involved in its numerous wars if big business couldn't make a profit? If no one was making a buck off of them? That the US government and its allies are just behaving altruistically, sacrificing to do good at their own expense and the lives of their troops? If we continue to uncritically support American wars with their bogus pretexts, we'll just keep lurching from one crisis and war to another. We need to confront the reality of Western imperialism if we ever want a more just, peaceful world.